Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello and welcome. Our today's topic is myths and some myth buster. Myths are there as misconception about entrepreneurship, and then myths actually prevent a lot of potential entrepreneurs from taking the plunge, because we have a wrong notion that entrepreneurs are born in business families or they are born just like that. But when we will be knowing some of the stories about successful entrepreneur and their background, their childhood, we will gradually realize that entrepreneurship is for anybody. Anybody can take the plunge, and many of us can be successful provided we are mindful about the causes of failure, and then we take preventive measures so that we do not fail. From outside, if we look at successful entrepreneurs, we might even think that they are lucky, by chance they have taken the right business model, adopted the right business model, and they became successful just like that. But it is not so easy a game either. Meaning, if you know the life cycle of an enterprise, you will know that early stage people slog, and then there are a lot of ups and downs, and there are points when it appears as if they are going to fail, but eventually they fight back. So, let us see what are the prevalent myths and what are the realities at the background. And as I said, myths actually prevent people from taking the plunge. As you can see that most of us, maybe 70% of the people, we believe that entrepreneurs are kind of the best people in the world, and best people in the sense that they are in the glamorous world and they make a lot of money, they are connected to people that matters. So, we envy them, but at the same time we do not really start. Unless we start, we will not even know what are our potentials, whether we are a potential successful entrepreneurs. Chances are that many of us are, but then unless we take the plunge, we will never know. Now, I have something like 20 plus myths which are not arranged in any order, just randomly arranged. First myth that we are going to discuss is, most of the people think that entrepreneurs are born and they are not made. But have a look at what Peter Drucker has to say. He says entrepreneurship can be learned. It is up to, means you can learn nitty gritty and all that, but some of the parts, like say the propensity to take risk, may be inborn. But then if you take the plans and if you can actually learn the business process, the finances, the other aspects of business, and chances are that you will be successful. Majority of the successful entrepreneurs are first generation entrepreneurs. A recently published book, Good to Great by Jim Collins, he has identified 11 most important or most successful companies who have become a unicorn. 10 of them were promoted by first generation entrepreneurs. So, that kinds of succinct message that entrepreneurship is for anybody, and everybody is not really people hailing from business families. First example that I have some quite a number of them. First example, we have already talked about Dhirubhai Ambani. He is the son of a school teacher, and there was no business credential or tradition of business in their family, except that he used to sell potato chips on a road side in a marketplace. That can be done by anybody, and he was forced to do that because of economic pecuniary condition. So, from this example itself, we can visualize that entrepreneurs can be for anybody. Narayan Murthy, everybody knows, he started Infosys borrowing $250 only from his wife, and rest is history. Infosys today is one of the most valuable company in the country. Sunil Mittal, the founder of Airtel, he started only with rupees 20,000 borrowing from his father, and then today his net worth is about $8 billion. Savir Bhatia, lesser known, but he started Whatmail, and that is the first internet mail in this world, in this civilization, but he was the founder of Whatmail, and eventually he sold it for $700 million. He accidentally started Whatmail, did not have a business idea beforehand, just for facilitating communication with his peers. They had to bypass their own server and then start communication through peer to peer, and then eventually Whatmail evolved, and then he sold that for $700 million. Gobindappa Venkataswamy, the famous Orolab founder. Orolab founder, the story is too big and many of us do not know, but Venkataswamy actually emulated or copied McDonald's assembly line kind of business idea of making pizzas, and then eventually he could reduce the time for eye operation to a very small and to a very short period, and then he could operate many number of eyes. So, eventually he could reduce the eye operation, cataract operation cost, and he had another business model by which he used to charge the rich and subsidize the poor, and eventually he started many innovation driven entrepreneurship, like they indigenously developed low cost high quality intraocular lens implants that is now popular in 160 countries. So, he also was not a businessman, he was just a doctor. Oprah Winfrey, you may not call her an entrepreneur, but her rise from kind of ashes, it was like a phoenix rising from ashes. Look at her background and you will realize that anybody and everybody can dream high and achieve. She did not have the clothes to go to school. Her mother used potato sacks to make a dress for her, and today her net worth is $3 billion, and the kind of value that she brings to the society at large is tremendous. He can be anybody's role model. Andrew Carnegie, who does not know about him? During childhood he was a factory worker. He used to suffer hunger, just to get rid of hunger he used to sleep, something like that, and then he went ahead to become one of the richest man in American history, and he created, and all these were through entrepreneurship, and his family, neither anybody in his family had any tradition of business whatsoever. Similar example, John D. Rockefeller. He was the son of a traveler salesman, and then he used to sell candies. So, you can say that he started learning the ropes by himself, selling something. Once he become a salesman, sky is the limit. So, he also went ahead to become one of the richest man and one of the greatest philanthropist, because he created so much wealth that he was one of the wealthiest individual in US for all time. If we do not talk about Steve Jobs, perhaps the list will be absolutely incomplete. And look at his background. He was from a disturbed family, could not support his family, could not support the cost of his education. Still he used to go to classes without chappal, and people used to laugh at him, but he was such a knowledge seeker that he used to go to college and sit in the bench, though he did not write the exam, because for which he needed to pay money that he did not have. All that he was resorting to for a square meal a day is he used to visit Hare Krishna temple and get a free meal. Otherwise, this is very important, he used to collect used beverage cans like the aluminum cans of Pepsi, Coke, etc., that you can collect from trash or somewhere, and you can exchange that for few rupees or something in India and few pence in US. and he used to do that for his pocket expenses. It was almost like a rag picker kind of situation, that he used to pick up those are something like rag picking, and then eventually he went ahead to create Apple, which is almost like $1,000 billion today, one of the most valuable companies in the world. Second in line, we have entrepreneurs are high risk lovers. Entrepreneurs, people think that they love risk. It's a misnomer, it's a misconnotation, wrong connotation. They are not afraid of risk. That must be said, that entrepreneurs are not afraid of risk, but then they don't casually take risk for the sake of it. They identify opportunity in adversities or opportunity behind risk. Most of the people are afraid of risk. So even if there is an opportunity, people will feel afraid and they will not try to grab that opportunity, thinking looking at the risk per se. In this context, I must tell I must state this very clearly. If there would be any opportunity anywhere in this world, that will not exist for a moment, because there are so many people looking for opportunity, and people will jump on that, and then within no time this opportunity will vanish, and this will translate into a competitive world. Everybody will try to get a piece of that, and then there will be competition and there will be no opportunity at all. If there is an opportunity still left and nobody is trying to grab that, because there is risk, and somebody has to understand that how to overcome this risk, what kind of technology, what kind of knowledge that we can apply, so that we can overcome this risk. At the same time, we can grab that opportunities. Those are entrepreneurs. They can assess the risk and they can assess possible solutions to overcome the risk or work around the risk and then grab this opportunity, and that is how entrepreneurs exploit the opportunity and offer a wonderful solution to the target audience. So they make a lot of people happy through that process. But then when they become successful, we think that it is luck that because of which they have become successful, which is absolutely not true. Of course, luck plays a role in everything. But then that is, if you sit back thinking that luck will favor you at some point of time, it will never come. You have to be active and then take risk. Out of 10 times you will be lucky once or twice, and then you can make history, you can make a dent on this universe. If one has to target his growth, one has to embrace calculated risk. Without taking risk, you cannot really shine. So you have to, entrepreneurs actually are not risk averse, meaning that they don't think that if something is risky they should not go, but then they get opportunity through that. Next is, it takes a lot of money to start business. Absolutely wrong, and particularly this is wrong in today's context, where there are so many people with so much of money chasing wonderful idea. If you have a wonderful idea, something groundbreaking, something earth shattering, there are so many people to run behind you to fund. Of course, if there is some fancy idea and there is no reason for anybody to trust that idea to be successful, then of course nobody is going to fund. But if there is something that is worth pursuing, there is no dearth of money today. Look at the statistics. 80% of the companies, successful companies, were started with capital below 1,000, and that was bootstrapping. Bootstrapping meaning you arrange your money from friends, relatives, your own savings, credit card, sweat equity, meaning you give equity at the beginning as salary or as, say, for accommodation or things like that. That is what is bootstrapping, and 80% of the companies started with bootstrapping. Another statistic says, with 5,000 fastest growing startup companies, shows that initial capital and success rate has no correlation, meaning that is not a driver of success. Initial capital is not a driver of success. Therefore, it is not true that money, initial capital, is highly necessary to start a successful business. All that you need to do is, you need to solve a problem, that is bogging some people, and you have to have a solution that is competitive in the present world. Okay, while we say that money is not so much a driving factor, but it is also to be kept in mind that money gives you comfort, gives you confidence. It is handy at times of distress. Next is entrepreneurs are in it for money. Okay, many people actually start for money, and some of them are kind of successful. Many Me Too companies, they see that somebody is successful, they also start, and maybe some of them become successful. But then it should be kept in mind that if somebody starts business with the sole objective or sole motive to make money, he or she may actually may not sustain for a long time, because almost every startup goes through ups and downs, particularly downs at the beginning. For first 2-3 years cash flow may not be positive, and if you start with the sole motive of earning money, you will become frustrated, you won't be able to sustain. But if you are actually motivated to solve a problem and then eventually make money, you will remain absolutely motivated to continue to strive, and your perseverance will sustain, and then eventually you will be successful. So, it is not absolutely true that entrepreneurs are there for money. Okay, entrepreneurs are born in business families. This is also absolutely not true, but perhaps it may sound like conventional wisdom that anybody hailing from business family should be automatically successful, because they have all the wherewithal necessary to start and run a business. The fact is that majority of the successful entrepreneurs, like what I said about earlier, I produced out of 11 successful unicorn, as far as 10 were started by first generation entrepreneurs, whereas only one was started by someone who hails from a business family. That itself says that it is not right. Most importantly, if somebody hails from business families, he has a baggage of traditional business thought process. He may not be able to come out that tradition, because from childhood he has seen business to run like that. There are philosophies, there are strategical thought process which are very old, which may not match with the emerging world, business world. So, they may be kind of besotted with all those old thought process, and that may prove to be a baggage that will pull them down rather than taking them forward. Of course, if somebody is from business family and somebody which is highly entrepreneurial, then of course there is every possibility that he or she perhaps will be successful. What is necessary is entrepreneurial qualities, innovation contents, managerial capability, passion, and balanced skill. And balanced skill of the team, meaning that there should be team of complementary skills. So, as I said, first generation comes with baggage. They are likely to feel free the traditional business philosophy, they develop superior value proposition to customers, maintain quality, maintain after sales service, invest in creating trust, and build loyal customer base. If they can do that, they can be successful, otherwise it is not going to be successful. Another myth is that entrepreneurs should be young and restless. The fact is that successful entrepreneurs who started their business data show that they started their business anywhere between 18 years to 64 years of age. So, there is no trend that only young people became successful if they start business early. So, someone starting business at the age of 60 plus are also becoming successful. That's what the data says. Of course, the young people comes with technologies. They know the present customer better, because they belong to the present generation, whereas old people come with lot of experience, which is necessary both for business process as well for management of other things. So, both are really important. So, it should be a mix of both. Entrepreneur give little attention to their personal life is also not true. In fact, entrepreneurs can manage their time better because he or she doesn't have to report to anybody or take anybody's permission. They organize their meeting during weekdays so that they can have their weekends free. Similarly, they are their own boss and nobody can actually command them to come on weekends and then do something, meaning that they can preemptively take care of the necessity and the pressing whatever demand that the business demands. So, they can take preemptive action. So, they are their own boss and they have their own life under their control. Some people, even I am going to tell you that most of the entrepreneurial ventures fail. This is what the data actually tells us, that something like 99% of the entrepreneurial ventures fail. But then this should be taken with a pinch of salt. It is not always true. This data is biased, first of all. Second of all, this data should not make us afraid, meaning we should not be afraid of this data, because there are many reasons of failure that can actually be overcome just by taking preemptive action and becoming knowledgeable, meaning through bit of entrepreneurial education and remaining preemptive about whatever is going to happen and remaining connected with the customer, knowing their problem better, meaning on a continuous basis, so that your product is always ahead of competition. It can be actually overcome. So, the data says why the data is biased, because many companies, they merge with another company, or they kind of are taken over by another and the name is changed, and in the database these companies no longer exist. So, they are accounted or counted among the field entrepreneurship. So, data may be misleading for many reasons. So, we should be careful about before the data looks like menacing, we should be careful about that. Some says that entrepreneurs are often high-tech wizards. They definitely are high-tech entrepreneurial wizard, but then it is not always necessary. There are evidences where people who started the company are not high-tech wizard, but they could recruit at the early stage whatever talent they need, so that they have a balanced pool of talent, and then they were successful. Another myth is that entrepreneurs are loners. This is absolutely not right, because loners will never be successful, because in today's world you may have wonderful ideas, you may have access to fund, you may have so many things, but then you need network to facilitate whenever you are kind of in trouble. There will be troubleshooters among your peers. So, you need connectivity with the peers, even for funding. A good words by somebody will facilitate funding, otherwise you will be knocking door to door and nobody may not even listen. So, entrepreneurs, if anybody is successful, he is not a loner, he has wonderful network. Another people, most young people have this in mind, that entrepreneurship means you have to raise money from VCs, venture capitalists. The fact is that venture capitalist funds at a later stage, not in the early stage. They have slightly less risk appetite than angels. Angel funds fewer number of startups, so they can keep control over people. They want to mentor them closely. VCs cannot afford to do that, because their fund is huge and they cannot fund 1 crore, 2 crore rupees. They fund normally something like $10 million. Below that, if they fund, it becomes very difficult for them to follow up. Moreover, they do not just want to expose themselves too early in the life cycle of a startup. So, VCs should be thought of when you have gone to market and you have visibility of your revenue, maybe cash flow. Of course, cash flow become positive much after that. Whatever that is, at the early stage one should not think that VC is my guy to be approached when I have hit upon an idea and then I have just started prototyping. Entrepreneurs are ruthless. Not true. They are not deceptive. they are the most ethical people. If there you have seen history and you get to know time and again, any entrepreneur who are kind of unethical, who are doing unethical things, whatever that is, they are getting caught and they become besotted with that. They have to run from pillar to post to get rid of all of that. They will never become successful. If somebody has to become successful, particularly those who are already successful, they are not deceptive. They are honest and they have their ethical. They don't compromise on their ethical standard. That always, you should always keep in mind that if you have a business model and you think that you can do without you can do something with fraudulent activity, you should think twice. You will never be able to see success. You need a business plan. Don't waste time writing a business plan just the moment you have an idea. You need a business plan. Definitely a business plan helps you to plan in the future, but normally you write an extensive business plan when you go for funding. So, don't unnecessarily waste time writing a business plan at the beginning. And then it is not always necessary that you should start only when you have a breakthrough innovation or something, some groundbreaking idea or something. You can always have a better execution plan for an existing idea, like Google started search engine when Yahoo was already there, and Google executed so well that they are far ahead of Yahoo or any other search engine that you know of. So, it is not always necessary that you must have a breakthrough ideas. This is very important. Most of us think that being first to market is the key to success. First to market definitely is good, provided you have wonderful execution strategies and you connect with customer, you create a kind of a foundation which cannot be overtaken by a me too copycat. Suppose you have a wonderful idea and you kind of don't execute it properly, then there will be many people sitting with a lot of money. They will get clue from you and they will take a cue and they will supersede you in no time, because they know from you whatever pitfalls are there on the way, and they will overcome that because they are aware of that, and then with minimal resources they can actually overcome. So, one has to be very careful. It is not necessary that first to market is bad or good, but then you have to execute it so comprehensively that another competitor cannot take over you, meaning that you create a good base of customer base, so that you can always remain, and you should continuously innovate so that your competitors always remain chasing you rather than superseding you. That is the most important part. You should always remain ahead of competition. And it is not always necessary that you have to start a company to become an entrepreneur. We talked about corporate entrepreneurship. Even you can take over a company, buy an existing company, converting a non-profit into possible profitable company. There may be several ways of starting a startup, and it is not always necessary that your first venture will catapult you into success. Most of the entrepreneurs, they pivot several times to meet their first success. Then the belief that understand the technology or product is this is the most important part actually, is how to run a business, meaning that if you think that I have a wonderful idea and I can make a product and I can become successful, this is a myth, because just a product idea will not make you successful. You need to know what is a business process, you need to have a team of complementary skills, and many things. In the next session we will show the causes of failure, and then you will realize that there are many causes for failure, and you need to take care of them to really become successful. We will move forward. Passion leads to success. Sometimes yes, passion is highly necessary, otherwise you will fall on the wayside, but then too much of passion is too bad, meaning that you should know when to pivot, should not continue to waste money and time and resources. You should not whip a dead horse hoping that it will come to life at some point of time. Entrepreneurship cannot be taught is a misnomer, is a myth. Entrepreneurship can be taught, most part of it can be taught. Some part may be like, as I said, that propensity to take risk may not be taught, but then finance can be taught, how competitive advantage can be taught, many things can be taught. So, this is again is a myth. You must wear all the hats. At the beginning you must wear all the hats, but as you move forward very quickly, you should know that your expertise is going to fall short. You need other talents too, and then you should hire right people to take over you, so that you can focus on whatever you are good at, and other people should take care of finance, take care of business process, take care of marketing, etc. College dropouts, there are many college dropouts who are successful, like Mark Zuckerberg, like many more, but then it is not always true. Statistics does not support that. There are, we only know about those who are successful, we do not know about those who failed after dropping out from college. So, we should not take this wrong notion that if I drop out from college, I am going to be a successful entrepreneur. Here is some data, you can pause and see the data about successful entrepreneurship by dropouts. Women are equally successful. Fact is that less women venture into entrepreneurship, but otherwise those who are venturing into, if you see the success rate, they are as much as their male counterpart. So, just like passion, persistence also is very important. At the same time, one should know when to pivot. So, after knowing all of that, I would recommend that you try to see these questions. There are some questions, true or false, and try to understand your depth of the knowledge. Some references and some concluding remarks. Thank you very much.